So Samsung finally decided to call the Fold Ultra. The problem is, after counting 49 confirmed changes, I'm not sure this phone actually earns that name. Some of these upgrades are long overdue, others make the Ultra branding a lot harder to defend. Let's get into it. So let's start with what Samsung finally got right, because for years, the Fold battery situation has been one of the worst deals in flagship phones. Now Samsung is finally fixing that with a 5,000 mAh cell. And yeah, that's a genuinely big upgrade, because for the first time in years, the inner display should actually feel usable without constantly worrying about battery life. Charging is getting a boost too, moving from 25 watts to 45 watts wired and from 15 watts to 20 watts wireless with Q2.2 support, both of which were long overdue. That said, don't get too excited about the 45-watt number just yet, because I'll come back to why it doesn't tell the whole story. Now let's talk cameras. Because for the first time, the Fold's ultra-wide camera actually feels like it belongs on a flagship. Samsung is finally moving from 12 megapixels to 50 megapixels, eliminating one of the biggest gaps between the Fold and the S Ultra. And honestly, this upgrade was overdue. For years, Samsung kept treating the Fold like a premium phone everywhere except the camera hardware. There's also a small but noticeable change on the front. The cover display punch hole is shrinking from 3.7mm to 2.5mm, a 32% reduction. Not a huge upgrade on its own, but it's one of those little things that makes the phone feel cleaner every time you look at it. Now here's the upgrade I've been most curious about, because the crease has been the biggest complaint about the Fold since day one, and Samsung is attacking the crease from every angle with a new display structure, support plate, and hinge redesign. According to ICE Universe, it's approaching Oppo Find N6 levels, and honestly, that's a pretty bold claim considering the Find N series currently has some of the best crease reduction in the industry. What's funny is Oppo literally mocked Samsung over this at their launch event, so if Samsung actually pulled this off, that's a bigger win than it might sound. The Fold 8 Ultra is also getting the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, the same chip as the S26 Ultra, so performance and on-device AI should be exactly where a flagship like this needs to be. Now let's talk software, because One UI 9 brings 31 new features, but honestly, only 4 of them really stand out. App automation is probably the biggest one. Instead of jumping between multiple apps, Gemini can now handle entire tasks on its own, whether that's ordering food, booking a ride, or checking out a grocery cart. Then you've got scam detection. And honestly, if you've ever had a relative fall for one of these scams, you already know why this matters. There's also foreign material detection, which every Fold owner will immediately understand. If something gets caught between the two halves while you're closing the phone, the software warns you before the inner screen takes damage. And finally, multi-window SnapGrid lets you save and instantly restore up to 4 apps in a persistent layout every time you unfold the device. If you actually use your Fold for work, that feature alone makes a bigger difference than it sounds. Now, there are 4 One UI 9 features that Fold 7 owners will never get, because they're tied directly to the hardware. The new 50-megapixel ultra-wide unlocks macro autofocus and 8K ultra-wide video. Super HDR gets a major boost from the 8 Elite Gen 5 image processor. Galaxy AI runs faster thanks to the upgraded NPU, and Samsung is finally bringing native 24-megapixel output without requiring camera assistant. And unlike the other software features I'll talk about in a second, these are permanent advantages the Fold 8 Ultra will always have over the Fold 7. Now, as for the other 23 One UI 9 features, I'm putting the full list on screen right now, but honestly, there's one thing you need to know. Every single one of them is also coming to the Z Fold 7 later this year. So if you're already on the Fold 7, don't look at this list and think you're missing out. Now look, the upgrades are real, but here's the problem. Samsung decided to put Ultra in the name, and once you do that, people start expecting Ultra-level upgrades. For starters, the Fold 8 Ultra doesn't get privacy display, and honestly, that's weird because it ended up being one of Samsung's most talked about hardware features this year. The IP rating hasn't moved either. After 7 generations, Samsung is still shipping IP48. Meanwhile, the Pixel 10 Pro Fold offers IP68, and Chinese foldables have already moved past Samsung here. Charging is another weird one. Yes, 45 watts is better, but Samsung already sells the S26 Ultra that supports 60 watts, and it costs about $700 less. Z Fold 8 Ultra is also rumored to drop the titanium backplate in favor of carbon fiber reinforced plastic, and the 528 and 1TB models are already $80 more expensive after a quiet price increase earlier this year, and that's where the Ultra argument starts falling apart. If you're on the Z Fold 7 right now, the battery, charging, and that 50-megapixel ultra-wide alone are probably enough reason to make the jump, but Samsung chose to put Ultra in the name, and once you do that, people start expecting Ultra-level upgrades. The Fold 8 Ultra is a better Fold. I'm just not convinced it's an Ultra. And if you want to see what's happening with the S27 Ultra, for which I don't know whether I should thank Apple or blame them, we want you to stay with us by subscribing and share your valuable feedback through comments.
See you in the next video.